Hi everyone, it's Lavinia. Welcome. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you another Zentangle. This one is called Sand and it's by CZT Adele Bruno. I tried several versions to finally get it down. So this is a grid Zentangle. So this is the journal that I'm using. This is the cream colored page. I started it out. It didn't work out well. So the little cat there is saying, don't go there. Come back to it and maybe do some other Zentangle inspired art instead. But as far as for supplies, I do have my journal. I have a few ink pens. I have a brush pen, a 0.5 and a 0.3 from the Artist Loft, the Michaels brand. I have a pencil, which I will definitely be using, as well as an eraser. This is a gum eraser. This is the brush that I use to just brush off some crumbs. And I have a couple of tortillons. I also am, later on, I am going to be drawing this on the string page that I showed yesterday. So this is different than a compilation page. This are just areas where one Zentangle each will go. So throughout the month, I'll be adding them here. Also, when I add it to that page, I'm going to be playing some music from Vipas. This I purchased, if you saw my Sedona video. So Vipas Kendia, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I bought this CD, so I had asked him if I could play some of his music during my Zentangle videos, and he said that would be fine, just to email him the link. So later on, I will be playing one or two of his tracks. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, in Zentangle, they don't use tools such as rulers, penciling out a grid or anything like that, because it's supposed to just be a flow of the movement of the patterns. However, it's also not to stress you, so I am going to be laying out a grid to get this pretty Zentangle, which it really is very pretty. So I have my pencil here, and I'm just going to be drawing some lines perpendicular and vertical. I'm not measuring them out. I'm just eyeballing where I might want these lines to be. They're not necessarily straight at all. And there might be one more over here. And then I'm just going to turn my page. Let's see if I can come a little bit closer. Okay, and then some boxes are going to be larger than others, and that's fine. There might be the edge of one over here. Okay, so we have this. And again, I might do this in pencil first. So I'm just going to, where those center points are, just add these circles. And if you have great eye-hand perception, coordination, and don't need to do this, that's fine. Then what you would do is just, let's say this is your area, then just go ahead and add your circles, alternating. So this one would come down here, this one would be here, this one would be here, and that would be there. So you're just alternating those circles. So now for here on this line, I'm going to come to the center of that. So that is how I'm alternating them. Then here I'm going to be at this mark. and here. That, and then this would probably be here. All right, so that is the grid that I have. So I'm going to go ahead and start inking in those circles. This is my 0.5. If you need to make adjustments, go ahead and do that. If they're not all the same size, that's fine too. Okay, so I have that. I'm going to change to my 0.3, I think. Now we're going to make these rice shapes that are in between these orbs. So you don't want them to be puffy. You would rather have them be elongated and thinner. So not puffy seeds, but more like long grain rice. And we're just going to go ahead and connect them on the diagonal. So for example, let's go ahead and start with this one. So just connecting like that. And if they're not perfectly centered, if one is larger than the other, don't worry about it. If you wanted to do this all in pencil first, you can do that. But embrace the wonkiness, embrace the difference. I think it's easier to go one way first and then come back and do the other way. Okay. So this is what we have. And now we're going to go the opposite way. So if you need to turn your page, go ahead and do that. So let's see. So this would, let's start from here. Again, just some elongated shapes. This reminds me almost a little bit of Quandary. Okay, so let me bring that closer so you can see. Isn't that very pretty? I'm just going to let that dry just a little bit because I do want to erase my lines. All right, so I'm just going to erase these lines here in the center. Because we're going to be building on that center area. Okay, And so what I'm going to do now, or what we're going to do now, is give these lines here in the middle an aura. So we are building this section here in the middle now. So again, just take your time, give that an aura. If you need to pause, pause. And of course, depending how large these were or shortened, they will look different. Giving it the aura. So I'm just working along. And see, I probably should have come off that one. Sometimes I try to think when the CZTs or even non-ZZTs, you don't have to be a CZT to have a Zentangle, but how they come up with the names on some of them, you can kind of see is like, oh, okay, I can see that, but this one called sand, I'm not really sure. I mean, I can see, for example, how that might look like a pearl. All right, so we've got that. And now the next thing we're going to do is round the corners. So for that, I'm just going to rotate that because it's a little bit more comfortable for me. But I'm just coming here and putting that small little arc and then just inking that in. So here too, I'm just giving it a slight curve and inking that in. This one, if I wanted to come up more, I can do that too and ink this area in. And then if I wanted to shape that a little bit more rounded, I can come back to that. So giving it that curve. If you wanted to just keep continuing with the curve first, you could do that as if you're forming that orb, just touching and then coming by like that and then inking it in. So whatever your preference is, there's plenty of here to test out what your preference is. So depending on what your size of these are, they may all look the same. Mine are elongated on two sides. Okay. Oops, might have gone just a little bit over there, but that's okay. We can fix that. Don't want the video to be too long, so I think what I probably will do for this video is just complete this Zentangle here, and then probably show in another video where I'm adding it to the string, because we still have a few more things to do on this particular one. And if you have to stop every once in a while and just take a look, go ahead and do that. Then we have this last one. Okay. All right, and then the next thing we're going to do is add these lines that are not in the rice shape, but in the auras around it. So for example, and try to get it in the middle if possible. So this one, for example, would be coming this way, almost going towards the middle of that orb, and then coming, oops, see, I did a mistake. Oh, there are no mistakes. Just coming across here. So I have to see if I can get a piece of my white pastel pencil or a white gel pen, but we will erase that. So see? So, and actually I did that here too. This was the rice shape. So just goes to show you. Well, I guess I could always do something different, but let's go back here. So we're coming into where this area is. So in the orb, next to the orb, and it's as if that line is just continuing on down. Probably come here. Probably it might be easier to do it on all sides, like that. So you're giving it that little diagonal shape. So here. So it would be there and there. And let's see, did we get them all? This one, okay, would be here, there, and there. And then this will look really pretty once we add the graphite. So let's go ahead and we're going to put some graphite here where those auras were. And that's going to make those rice shapes stand out, as well as the pearls. I'm going to call them pearls. All right, got my tortillon. blend that in. And you can already start to see those rice shape pop. Probably add some here with that leftover graphite that I have. Okay, and then I'm going to add a little bit of graphite here. So I'm coming towards almost like making a little circle of graphite somewhat in the middle, a little C shape. And don't forget, you can always use your eraser if you wanted to lift anything. But let's go ahead and do that first and see what that looks like. So I'm just going to blend that a little bit, just to have it give it that 3D effect, or that effect of it being a solid object. A little bit of dimension. You could also do that. You could also ink in these other little orbs if we wanted to. I'm going to put some graphite here. Ink as well. There are other steps that can be done to further embellish this, but I think for now I'm just going to leave this as is. And I probably should put the name, otherwise I will forget. And so this is 11.2.25, and I am going to put sand, and this was fall dance. So I think that is a very pretty Zentangle. And maybe even with the white charcoal, I could probably add, if I wanted to, actually that's a pastel pencil. I think since this is cream color, it will show up. And we're going on top of the graphite anyway, but could probably add a little bit of that white charcoal to give it a little bit further enhancement. You can use your white jelly roll pens or white gel pens. Just going to blend that in. So maybe I'll give that a little bit further. So you can keep playing around with this as much as you'd like. That is it. That is sand. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Take care. I will see you in the next one. Bye.